Hi, I'm Angelica Barriga.
And I'm Jim Theodoras, and
welcome to ADVA Optical Networking. So Jim, we have some pretty big news.
Yes, we do.
So tell me about this new product.
Well, ADVA Optical Networking has always been globally recognized as a world leader in ether demarcation products. And traditionally, these have been NNIs and unis, what I call Carrier Ethernet pizza boxes, things that go out at customer sites to provide a demarcation point between their network and the network of the carrier. But what's been missing is this aggregation point to bring all this traffic together. This function is sometimes called an edge gateway, hence the name FSP 150EG-X. Oh, there it is.
Yes, I see it. Why don't you walk us through some of the key specs?
All right, let's take a look at the FSP 150EG-X. Let's start with the mechanics. Mechanically, the EG-X is in a 10U chassis, and if you'll notice, the depth is less than 300 millimeters. So with all the necessary wiring coming from the front of the product, it is possible to put the chassis back to back within a rack. It's a modular design. We've had a lot of luck with the FSP 3000, our transport product. It's been very popular because of its modularity. We're continuing that approach with the EG-X. There are 24 single-width traffic slots, as well as dedicated slots for the switch fabric, shelf controller, and the timing unit. The capacity of the system is 140 gigabits with a centralized switch fabric. You can have 120 gigi ports and a max of 14 10 gigi ports. Now, a product of this type, redundancy is important, and with the EG-X we've got redundant switch fabric, shelf controllers, and timing units, as well as dual power supplies and 3 modular fan trays. Topology. With any edge gateway device, a variety of network architectures may be found. It's important that any edge gateway support any and all of these architectures. The FSP 150 EG-X supports linear point-to-point, hub and spoke, as well as ring and mesh topologies. So there you have it, the FSP 150 EG-X.
Sounds great. Can you talk about how customers might use an edge gateway product?
I could, but I think I have someone online that's better suited to answer that question. Fred, are you there?
Yeah, Jim, I'm here.
Fred, we were wondering if you could walk us through some of the ways customers might use the EG-X in their networks.
Sure. The FSP 150 EG-X
provides an aggregation function that works together with ADVA's FSP 150 family of NIDs to provide end-to-end Ethernet OEM and SLA monitoring, as well as synchronization, both frequency as well as time of day, aggregation, and circuit emulation services in the future. This is a fairly typical application of the EG-X, where you've got a variety of services on the left, both business Ethernet as well as mobile access. They get connected to a number of different networks on the right. The mobile switching center on the top, the IP MPLS core in the middle, and other wholesale carriers through an E and an I at the bottom. Now, a lot of carriers will want to augment their existing switches and routers and add capabilities those switches might not support. Things like SLA monitoring, both 802.1AG as well as Y.1731 and ADVA's ESA. Synchronization is another area that some switches and routers are a little bit weak in, and we can add SyncE as well as 1588. And test is an especially weak area for switches. We can add RFC 2544 to these applications, and we can be either the probe or the reflector in these examples. In the future, things like Y.156 SAM or Y.1564 as it's now known, and of course circuit emulation in the future. Now, the EG-X can be located either in-line, as you see in the bottom example, or out-of-line, as you see above the switch here. And things like test, SLA monitoring, and circuit M can be done both in-line and out-of-line, whereas synchronization applications are best done in-line. Now, in the mobile backhaul space, you see the CM Hub application in the top, where there's no aggregation, and you've got 3 cell towers on the left, 3 connections on the right. The EG-X in the bottom, 3 cell towers on the left, a single connection on the right. We also show the sync and TDM connections that you'd have in these applications as well. Now, the MEF is bringing out some new services called e-Access, and these come in both port-based as well as VLAN-based variants, just like other MEF services, and this is primarily targeted at wholesale applications. Now the EGX is particularly well suited to doing the aggregation parts of these service, and you see the E and an I on the left connected to multiple connections, multiple unis on the right here. And I guess one other term that we'll introduce here, an OVC or an operator virtual circuit, is what we're going to call the wholesale EVCs.
Well, thanks, Fred. Why don't
Fred, oh, sorry, Jim.
No, go ahead.
I have a question for Fred.
Sure.
The EGX looks a lot like another product, the FSP 150CM. Can you help me understand the differences between the two?
Sure. The FSP 150CM and FSP 150EG-X are both shelf-based products.
But the CM was a hub-based product where the circuits were kept physically independent and really not a whole lot of processing and very minimal delay. The EGX, on the other hand, provides aggregation at a packet or EVC or VLAN level and allows for aggregated interconnects. These diagrams show in the CM 3 connections on the left, 3 connections on the right. The EGX, 3 connections on the left, a single aggregated connection on the right.
All right, thank you, Fred.
That's great.
That's
Yeah,
great.
thank you. Sounded great. So, Jim, what's coming up next?
I thought that we'd go into a deep dive into the details of the EGX product, but I'm thinking everyone may not want to sit there. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I think I'm good for now.
Okay, well.
So thank you all for joining us. And if you are interested in Jim's technical deep dive, stay tuned, and that will be coming up next after the break.